It's time to tumble some rocks.
So many beautiful rocks. That's a nice thing to find on my way out.
One problem with finding so many beautiful rocks is rock management. I just have buckets and buckets of rocks everywhere. And so today I'm going to try cleaning out some of the kind of less desirable looking slabs and pieces, and I'm going to put them in my 20-pound tumbler and see what happens. You know, they're not really good for anything else right now, so let's see what happens if I stick them in the tumbler. Okay, so because I've got a lot of kind of larger stuff in here, I'm going to fill in the cracks and crevices by using some stuff that was left over from cutting on the trim saw. Two weeks later. Ooh, doesn't that look beautiful? Okay, it's time to separate these and make two different piles that I can make 3 pounds worth of rocks in, and we'll tumble them together. I'm going to have to get some of these bigger slabs out and only put just like one big one in each of the little vibrating tumblers that I have, because otherwise they will just get stuck. But I think we can do one. I think this is all really pretty neat. It broke, so that's too bad, but it was just a cube that I made out of an agate, and you can see how rounded it is after 2 weeks of tumbling. It really just softened all the edges. This is a little cotton candy geode that I put in there, and it just really rounded out the back of it so nicely. I think I might not put this in the actual polish because it might do something more to the crystals that still remain, but I think it's really cool. Okay, I have them broken down into the medium size, the little ones, and then the big ones, so we'll have to figure out how many of those we can manage to get in there and still have it work. And so now I'm going to pack them into 2 different, these hold 3 pounds each. These are the Lotto vibratory tumbler and this one. I really like vibrating tumblers because they just work way faster. Okay, so I've got this one, the middle-sized ones inside this one, and then I'm going to put in the little ones because these will fit between the cracks. And then we'll figure out what we can do about the bigger ones. So I have several larger pieces in there, and then I decided to put the rest of the little rocks in there as well. Hopefully that'll keep the larger pieces apart and it'll keep them scrubbing each other. We'll see. Buttoned up and tumbled. You can see they're really not very loud when they get all covered up. Okay, here is my pile of tumbled rocks. Now, this was actually done in a couple different sections, so you might see some things here that weren't in the original video. But the first thing I want to show you is this really cool. See how shiny it got? This is the cube, the agate cube, and it had some fractures in it, so you can see that it actually kind of peeled off here. It must have been a little eye there that it's broken into. But just look at how pretty that is. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Speaking of agates, this is a big chunker. This is what it looks like when you do a vibrating polish on a big agate. Now it does have all these little dimples in it. I didn't put it in the 20-pound tumbler and just grind it down because I don't mind these little dimples in it. I think they're kind of cool. And you could set this one up so that it just sits like that. Isn't that neat? All right, let's see what else we've got here. some kind of sea maggot, maybe? Sodalite. The sodalite doesn't really polish up as well as the other stuff. I think it's a lot softer, and I really shouldn't have it in with this bunch of hard rocks. But here it is. Some jasper. Ooh, that's pretty. Look at that. I think it's jasper. Some of these things I got at the Richardson Rock Ranch. They have a pile of kind of cutoffs, castaways, and this is, they make spheres. So these little ridgy things are from when they were making the spheres. And this is some petrified wood. I don't know from where, but it's neat. Here's a piece of Mary Ellen jasper, and I just think this is super cool because it has this metallic kind of iron color, and it's just really unusual. This is only found at the Mary Ellen mine, and I was lucky enough to get some pieces. So look at that, look how pretty that is. One thing that happens when you put the big slabs in is that if they have any imperfections, they stay that way. When they're in the vibrating tumbler, they do not smooth out, they just get shiny. So if you're one of those folks who just can't deal with imperfections, then you probably want to use the big tumbler, the rotating tumbler, until it gets absolutely perfect. I think imperfections make them even more beautiful. And it's not just because I can't wait that long. Here's another one that came from my end pile. See how nice and smooth and shiny the back is? I think that's so neat. And then shiny, shiny, shiny. So basically it makes it look like it would if it was wet. Pretty. You might recognize this from what we just watched as far as the loading up goes. Look at how nice and shiny that jasper gets. It's like a mirror. This is one of my favorite pieces. It's an agate that has a whole bunch of kind of seams in it. Not seams, some kind of filled cracks that it had a bunch of cracks that got filled with a different mineral. And on this side, it actually has some nice kind of white, maybe opal. Anyway, it's just, I think this one is just gonna be a pendant, just made like that. Isn't that just beautiful? It's a piece of petrified wood, big chunk that I tumbled. This is some more of that stuff from Richardson's. This is what's called a goldstone, and it's a man-made kind of composite material with, I don't know, maybe glass in it. Usually it's gold, but this is green, and it's really pretty. I'm going to separate some of these out and have them as pendant material because they're just crying out for it, like this amethyst. You know, amethyst is really just quartz that has some kind of mineral in it that turns it purple. But just that little addition to it just makes it so much more beautiful, in my opinion. This is kind of neat. It's a piece of labradorite that was labradorite? No, it's blue tigerite. They made a sphere out of it, and so this was what was left over. Another tumbled agate. This one's kind of cool because it's got a druzy pocket in it. You can kind of see it on the video. It's really bright out here, so I'm not really sure what I'm seeing. This one's pretty neat. This is from the Richardson's pile as well. I think it's polka dot agate. This is a piece of obsidian. Obsidian is volcanic glass, and it's very difficult to tumble. This is actually something that I'll probably put back in. I'm going to try tumbling some Apache Tears, and I understand that you need to have a ton of material, ceramic kind of padding with it, like half and half, so that they don't clank against each other and get damaged. So we're gonna try redoing this one and see if we can make it nicer. I think this is Arizona petrified wood, and it's really a cool piece. Unfortunately, it broke at the tip there, so I'd either have to grind it down or retumble it if I wanted to use it for something. This is a good example of why I like tumbled rocks. This little tiny pebble, just look at all the beauty in there. People sometimes wonder why I pick up all that petrified wood because, you know, it's brown. But it actually polishes just beautifully, and I love it. Speaking of tiny beauties, I'm not positive what kind of agate this is, but it sure is pretty. This is a piece of jasper. Again, this jasper is pretty common on the Yellowstone River, but look at it. It polishes beautifully, it's colorful, it's absolutely fab. Oop. Where did it go? Here's what a piece of green jasper looks like polished. Look at that. So pretty. This is a piece of rhodochrosite, and it's neat, but it broke. So, again, it'll need to be retumbled. Look at this one. I think it's moonstone. It's just a tiny little piece, but wow, how pretty. This is kind of neat. This is a piece from a thunder egg. This is just the matrix that it's in. And this is the other side. Now, when you're tumbling stuff that's rough like this, you have to be really careful to make sure that it gets cleaned before you put it into the next grit, because otherwise it'll not get polished properly. So it's kind of hard to do. Sometimes I use a toothbrush. I do have a parts cleaner that like is ultrasonic parts cleaner, but Kava does not like that very much. And so you just have to be super careful. But I like the way it looks. I could just sit and go through these all day long. I just really appreciate the opportunity to just sit down and go through my stash, because it's like my precious. Isn't that so pretty? This is a Montana agate, and you can see the banding, and you can see the dendrites. The dendrites are those little tree-like things in there. Here's a piece of labradorite. Kind of surprised this tumbled at all. Ooh, see that flash. This is a little piece of petrified wood, but it has a secret. Check that out. Little druzy pocket in there. Just a couple more. This is a bloodstone, I think. It's a kind of jasper that has red and green. And this is an agate. It's a Montana agate that has a quartz pocket in the middle. And the quartz pocket doesn't always polish. You can see how it's kind of more matte than the edges, but it's still awfully pretty. Well, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I definitely did. Thanks for coming along. This is Kate from Katie Did. Keep on doing. If you want to share in the treasures, check out my Etsy store, Katie Did Rocks.
The link is in the description below. And if you want a virtual trip to the Yellowstone, check out my book, So Many Beautiful Rocks. It's on my Etsy store. If you want to share in the treasures, if you want to share in the treasures, check